I would like to welcome you all. My name is Yoon Kyung Park. I'm a Director of International Cooperation Division at Korea Energy Agency. I oversee KEA's international bilateral partnerships and ODA program by collaborating with international organizations, including this Asian Development Bank. We have prepared very interesting agenda for you. And before I introduce our esteemed speaker, I would like to give you a brief overview of Korea Energy Agency and what we do. Korea Energy Agency is the only public agency which designs and implements South Korea's national policies on renewable energy and energy efficiency. For the energy efficiency improvement, we provide subsidies and incentives as well as the regulations across various sectors, including the industries, buildings, and appliances and transport. And to promote renewable energy, we are implementing mandatory programs such as the Renewable Energy Portfolio Program. And we are also encouraging the private sector's voluntary participation in renewable energy through the Renewable Energy 100. We work closely with industries, local and state governments, and international organizations to achieve our mission of creating a sustainable and energy efficient future. And Korea Energy Agency has participated in this Asia Clean Energy Forum as a co-organizer since 2015. So this year marks the 10th anniversary of our great partnership with the Asian Development Bank, which I think is a great honor and privilege. So we hope to continue to contribute to ADB's efforts for clean energy transition in Asian region. Well, the topic for today is collaborative dynamics in clean energy, roles of government, international organization, and private sector. I was very fortunate to have a chance to get a preview of some of the presentations that our speakers will be giving today. And I can tell you that this is very interesting, so I'm very happy that you are here to enjoy this with us. And before we begin, I would like to remind all our speakers that there are so many content to go through today, so please make sure that your presentation stays within 10 to 15 minutes, as I previously advised. And after the presentation, we are going to have a Q&A session. So I encourage all the audience to be as active as you possibly can. Now let's move on to our first presenter. I'm very pleased to present one of my colleagues, Mr. Seok-jae Choi. He is a director at Korea Energy Agency who oversees international mitigation program of Korea's industry and power sector. He's been with KEA for more than 25 years, dedicating a decade to renewable energy dissemination and climate change mitigation efforts. So over to you, Seok-jae.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Seok-jae Choi from Korea Energy Agency. Today, I am pleased to introduce International Mitigation Program of Korea. KEA is working with the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy of the Korean government. Before my presentation, I would like to introduce Korea Energy Agency briefly. We are working for the energy efficiency, renewable energy, and climate change, also in energy welfare system. These are the summaries that we are doing in Korea Energy Agency. KEA is doing for the sustainable energy ecosystem of Korea. I am sure that everyone here is experiencing the climate change. You can see many pictures that shows drastic change of our planet at the website of the many international organizations and institutes. The picture in the center of the slide was taken in 2022 at the center of the Seoul, Korea. Nowadays, Korea is having a heavier torrential rain that we have not experienced so far with more frequency. Due to this unexpected weather event, Korea is losing many assets, and sometimes we have casualties in this severe weather event. And nowadays, due to the climate change, Korea is losing, the price, due to the climate change, the weather condition for the farming has been changed. So it affects the, some kind of economic indicator, and also it affects the industrial energy system of Korea. From now on, I would like to introduce Korea's international mitigation program. As you see in this slide, this is the difference between Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement. Under the Paris Agreement, every country had to make an effort to reduce greenhouse gas emission and report the plan and the result to the UNFCCC as a form of the NDC. NDC contains many issues, including emission reduction targets and adaptation and other transparency issues in the NDC. Those are the brief summaries on mitigation target of various countries in Asia. Many countries announced the use of international cooperation to achieve the emission reduction targets. Korea also announced the use of international cooperation to achieve emission reduction target as a supplementary measure, especially in industry and energy sector. This is a basic concept of the international mitigation program of Korea. Korean government will provide government budget to Korean companies GHG emission reduction project in overseas. Korean companies will implement the project with the various lots of stakeholders in host countries using their own capitals and the government budget. And Article 6.2 and Article 6.4 is the cooperation framework under the Paris Agreement for international emission reduction project. Korean companies will implement the project using the climate technology and capital investment, and then the host country will issue the ITMO for NDC, especially in energy sector. And by doing so, both countries will achieve the emission reduction target with the cooperation, and Korean government will be pleased to contribute to the sustainable development of the host country. To make our cooperation more efficient, we need more innovative approach in making framework. Not like 6.4 mechanism, we focus on making our own framework between two countries and to issue ITMO for NDC with the demonstration project before we make the detailed framework. That is for minimizing the error before all the details framework are made. These are possible projects that we can think about. First one is zero low carbon manufacturing project. And nowadays, many countries are aware of a huge amount of GHG emission in making construction materials. And in brief, especially in brick manufacturing, it is not necessary to use coal fuel anymore, or biomass pellet could be used as a substitute fuel for the coal. This project will also contribute to the clean energy and clean air, safety, health for local community, and uniform quality of the product. This is a traditional heat recovery project. There could be possible project in energy sector of industry and with the energy efficiency, resources recycling, and other technologies. This is a HFC recovery project in southeastern countries, especially HFC is necessary to air conditioning as a refrigerant and to insulation materials as a foaming agent. HFC is a high GWP greenhouse gas, so the management on HFC gas is very meaningful in emission reduction. This is a renewable energy project with a sector coupling concept, known to Power2X. In realizing Power2X concept, state-of-the-art technology are required, like ESS and smart grid and other technologies. Nowadays, especially grid condition should be seriously considered before the implementation. But still, renewable energy is a primary solution to the emission reduction and global warming. This is a biomass project, basic waste to energy project. In designing biomass project, not only GHG emission reduction, but also sustainable use of biomass have to be considered. Some people says that the biomass project is very easy, but I think it is not so easy when you're considering the sustainable development. To support this emission reduction project, Korea Energy Agency has various programs in every phase. These programs covers almost every component of emission reduction project, from project concept to commercial operation, including supplementary program like capacity building. In the program, government budget will be given to Korean companies, and the Korean companies will cooperate with the various stakeholders in the host countries. As a last part, I would like to introduce a best practice by Korea Energy Agency. KEA had a feasibility study on PV in local area of Cambodia in 2018, and 2019, KEA had also surveyed feasibility study on e-mobility using PV. It was so successful that the demonstration pilot could be implemented in 2020 at Siem Reap, Cambodia. In 2020, a Korean company, Veriwas, as an implementing agent, they made a demonstration pilot near Angkor Wat in Siem Reap. The demonstration project pilot is comprised of 50 kilowatt PV and 250 kilowatt hour ESS and 36 recharging battery station. It was a really bit fantastic idea. They made a coffee shop instead of the utility room because it attracts many people, and the company provide the meeting room and event place for the local community. There was no coffee shop concept in the designing phase, but they cost a lot to make a coffee shop instead of the utility room. Now they are developing a scale-up project as an Article 6 project in Cambodia. They already have e-bike manufacturing facilities in Cambodia, and they will make many charging stations for e-bike. This project is under the list of applications for International Mitigation Program of Korea, and this project will be implemented after some negotiation at adjustment in project design documentation and corresponding adjustment with the Cambodian government. And the details will be discussed introduced maybe in this session also by Professor Park. And this is another best practice for fuel switch. This project concept has been developed by a Korean company, KICC, and as an implementing agent, KICC was discussing how to use biomass waste in local area in Uzbekistan, and they made a pellet manufacturing facility with 1 year crop residue. I heard that the making pellet with a 1 year plant is not so easy, but they were successful in making this kind of pellet. And they are developing an Article 6 project under the support of International Mitigation Program of Korean government. And this project will replace the coal fuel of a brick company nearby the pellet manufacturing plant. And KICC finished the test, the heating value of the fuel fleet, and check the quality of the brick after they replaced the coal fuel to pellet fuel. And this company is also developing pellet cluster project with many Korean companies and various stakeholders in Uzbekistan. And this is the last slide of my presentation. KA and many Korean companies would like to make a change in with various countries, with many countries. This change is emission reduction against the climate change. And every country have to cooperate in a sustainable way with a win-win strategy to both countries. And finally, this emission reduction will be aligned with the international environmental integrity without greenwashing kind of issues. And thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions or any good emission reduction project, especially in energy sectors, in your pipeline and wish to cooperate with Korean companies, please remember Korea Energy Agency and contact in your screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Seokjae Choi, for sharing the overview of South Korea's international mitigation program and how it works, as well as the case studies. You know, the Paris Agreement requires all the parties to outline their emissions reduction targets and their climate action plan. So the first target year 2030 is only 6 years away. So I think maybe every country is actively navigating ways for the clean energy transition, which can contribute the emissions reduction domestically and internationally. And his presentation was very helpful in understanding how South Korean government is pushing forward with this new program to achieve our South Korea's ambitious climate commitment. Thank you. And now our next speaker is Dr. Jiwon Jung. She is the Executive Director at Korea Institute for International Economics Policy. She was a member of National Committee for Sustainable Development and the Committee for International Development Cooperation of the Republic of Korea. Please welcome Dr. Jung to the stage.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to present today on implementing Paris Agreement Article 6 and the role of international development organizations. Through my research on development organization, I tried to draw implication for Korea. I'm looking forward to sharing my insight and having a meaningful discussion with you all about this important subject. Unlike the Kyoto Protocol, the Paris Agreement takes different approach. The Paris Agreement requires each country to set its national greenhouse gas reduction target, also known as NDC. This allows countries to design strategies that suit their circumstances. Each nation can choose the most cost-effective ways to achieve these goals. Article 6 of the Paris Agreement strongly emphasizes voluntary cooperation among participating countries. It allows countries to work together, share resources, and combine their effort to achieve the ambitious goal of limiting global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees. Here, ITMOs are vital tool for achieving NDCs. The recent adoption of the rule book for Article 6 at the Glasgow COP26 is a significant development, and this rule book provides much needed clarity and reduce uncertainty surrounding international mitigation activities. Let's now shift our focus to the context of Korea. In 2021, the Korea submitted revised NDC to the UNFCCC Secretariat. The revised target is a significant step up. It aims to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 40% compared to 2018 levels. Korean government has developed comprehensive strategies to achieve this ambitious target, and it focused on various sectors such as energy transformation and industry decarbonization and electrification of transportation and more. And also, Korea recognized the importance of international collaboration in achieving its climate goals. The government planned to utilize voluntary cooperation mechanism under Article 6. So this will allow Korea to access additional emission reduction opportunities beyond its domestic effort. The expected reduction target through Article 6 cooperation at 37.5 metric ton of CO2. While Korea's revised NDC and sector-specific strategies demonstrate strong commitment, but concrete plan to promote international emission reduction for Article 6 cooperation is still needed. This table shows the target and policy direction for each sector of Korean economy to reduce CO2 emission, and you can see the target number. And also the graph on the right shows that projected emission reduction trajectory. The Korea emission peaked at 727.6 metric ton in 2018. So as you can see, the trajectory by 2030 indicate a significant efforts are needed to achieve these goals. Now let's explore some issues related to implementing Article 6. Effective implementation of Article 6 relies heavily on understanding the national mitigation plans of participating countries. As Spalding Fletcher highlighted, this understanding is crucial when selecting partner countries for collaboration under Article 6. So two key aspects should be considered. First, strengths of NDC. Have countries develop their NDC based on long-term low-emission development strategies. Number two is implementation capacity. Does the country have the capacity to implement its NDC effectively? This includes technical expertise and institutional frameworks and access to resources. The findings of Paris Committee on Capacity Building also offer valuable insight to us. The report, 2019 report can be a good reference when designing and implementing capacity building program. This table summarizes those Paris Committee's findings regarding the implementation of the NDCs, highlighting the challenges faced by countries in each area, including data collection and analysis, governance, and access to financial support and gender consideration. I'll skip the details, but the key takeaway is here by addressing these challenges, countries can implement their NDC effectively and furthermore participate in Article 6 activities. Continuing with the issues related to implementing Article 6, let's focus on environment integrity. I think the vital element of the Paris Agreement is the preservation of environment integrity. In the context of Article 6, I think environment integrity means that global greenhouse gas emissions should not increase due to international cooperation under Article 6. The Paris Agreement emphasized environment integrity throughout its text, including Article 4.13 and 6.1 and 6.2. The previous experience of Kyoto Protocol offers valuable insight too. Study by Skolmos in 2015 highlighted only 5% of emission reduction units issued during the first commitment period met high environment integrity standard. So this emphasized the need for robust safeguard to prevent the issues of overcredit. So therefore, transparency in project and greenhouse gas accounting methodology and systems are required under Article 6 to ensure environment integrity. Article 6 readiness is another crucial issue. The Article 6 readiness encompasses several key areas: research and development, institutional and procedural framework, and carbon market infrastructure, and capacity of national authorities, project development zone within the host country. Regarding the Article 6 readiness, this table shows key consideration taken from the German GI's advisory report to Chile, covering a setting baseline, identify long-term net zero pathways, assessing institutional capacity for ITMOs, and more. So by carefully considering these factors, countries can establish a solid foundation for successful and impactful collaboration under Article 6. Article 6 offers two main pathways for collaboration, Article 6.2 and 6.4. Understanding the advantages and limitations for each approach is crucial for countries decide which path to pursue. Article 6.2 allows for greater flexibility, but its decentralized nature can raise concerns about efficiency and transparency. Credit generated under Article 6.2 may be less fungible than those issued under Article 6.4. Also, a share of proceeds from trading Article 6.4 credit can be directed toward adaptation activities in developing countries. So, optimal choice between Article 6.2 and 6.4 depends on countries' circumstances and country. So, for example, country with established market infrastructure and strong capacity may prioritize favor for the flexibility of Article 6.2, but on the other hand, country with limited capacity or focus on securing adaptation funding may find Article 6 more attractive. Again, the table summarizes the key difference between Article 6.2 and 6.4, and I'll pass on this part for now. The last issue related to implementing Article 6 that I want to highlight is utilizing ODA or climate finance. The ODA rules stipulate that donor country cannot use ODA to achieve domestic benefit. So this may translate to the following limitation. One is ODA should not be used to advance a donor country's economic interest or contribute directly to achieving their NDC target. And the other issue is double counting. Payment made for the portion of a project that generates the ITMO cannot be reported as ODA. Here, I would like to mention the submission to the UNFCCC Secretariat by Canada in 2021. It underscored this limitation and strongly advocate for the need for clear and comprehensive guideline on utilizing ODA and climate finance within the framework of Article 6 cooperation. So right now, developing clear guidelines and robust accounting mechanism will promote transparency and avoid double counting, and ultimately will accelerate global progress towards Paris Agreement. The following 3 slides will cover the effort of bilateral and multilateral development organization related to Article 6 so far. I have classified their effort into 3 perspectives. Number 1 is, as purchaser of mitigation outcomes, do they support host country with the intention of obtaining credit? Second question is, do their efforts aim to assist host countries in participating in Article 6 activities? And number 3, are their initiatives focused on developing infrastructure and methodology for implementing Article 6? This first slide is about for the first question, and the well-known examples are Japan is transferring a portion of emission reduction from countries with bilateral agreement, and also the World Bank transformative carbon asset facility. It will purchase some of the emission reductions, and host country will use the remainder in their NDC. At the same time, donors can use this reduction for their national target or climate finance commitment. This table shows the effort of the organization to assist host countries in engage in Article 6 activities. You can see ADB Article 6 support facility. It offers technical and policy development support to help countries prepare for carbon market. And also we have UNDP and this support program, assist developing countries in engaging with ITMOs and offer technical assistance. There are several programs or initiatives to build infra and methodology for ITMOs. The World Bank Climate Warehouse Initiative create an open source metadata system called Climate Action Data Trust for carbon market and registry. And another case is the IGS Article 6 methodology. It used CDM methodology to develop baseline and mitigation monitoring tools for Article 6 implementation. So you see the various efforts already being made to utilize Article 6. Then what are the implications for Korea pursuing Article 6 activities towards its NDC? By leveraging Article 6 for its 2030 target, the Korean government needs to significantly contribute to securing funding and supporting international emission reduction projects. Also, the government can promote participation in Article 6 by establishing supportive laws and regulation. Here, understanding perspective of host country is a key to the building effective partnership and ensuring the success of mutually beneficial project. And it is important to note that using ODA solely to pursue national interests, such as fulfilling Korea's NDC, may be inappropriate for the reason I explained before. But ODA can be strategically used to improve the enabling environment and institutional capacity in partner countries, or build infrastructure, institution, or contribute their human resources. Korean government currently aim to increase climate change related ODA above the OECD DAC member by 2025. The government also published Green New Deal ODA strategy, so I think time is good. Increasing climate change related ODA can be used for infrastructure development and capacity building in host countries, which is essential for emission reduction project. Also, large-scale projects with private sector involvement are effective for achieving Korea's significant reduction target. But here, economic incentives are essential to attract private sector participation in this international reduction project, especially in developing countries with higher risk and upfront cost. Okay, so in conclusion, by strategically utilizing ODA, attracting private sector investment, and addressing institutional uncertainties, Korea can leverage Article 6 to achieve its ambitious climate goals while supporting sustainable development in partner country. I think Korea's ambitious target and strategy position Korea well to lead this effort, but I think it will require continuous support and collaboration from both domestic and international stakeholders. Thank you for your attention throughout this presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jung, for your insightful presentation. The Article 6 of Paris Agreement looks very ideal, but in fact, it requires a lot of preconditions of the host countries and also very intensive communications, comprehensive communication between both parties to make it actually happen. So from your presentation, we were able to get a glimpse of what needs to be done for the success of the Article 6 activities. So thank you for that. And I would like to welcome our next presenter to the stage, Dr. Yoon Sung Kim, who is the founder and CEO of Energy and Space. So she'll be sharing a collaboration model for demand-driven rural energy transition of South Korea.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It is very pleasant to be here in Manila, and I'm Yoon Sung. As an introduction to Yoon Kyung, I'm a CEO and a founder of Energy and Space. Today, my story is about a collaborative model for demand-driven rural energy transition. So there are three keywords: collaboration, demand-driven, and rural energy transition. Now let's talk about the challenges. The rural communities in South Korea are facing climate crisis. But before that, they have local challenges too, like depopulation, out-migration of the younger generation, and low birth rate and stagnant agricultural production and rural development. So the rural communities think that climate crisis is emergent and immediate, but they think their local challenges are more significant and serious. And they think that some developers are greedy, and the developers, when you think about the rural areas as a place to deploy renewable energy and earn money. So we need to persuade that addressing to climate crisis is the strategy to address their local challenges. So this is our purpose of the collaborative model, is that to suggest energy transition as a regional regeneration strategy and to clarify the pathways of rural decarbonization. And the third one is to conduct a pilot project. Yes, the rural decarbonization is not on the top priority. Now let's share some figures, and those two charts show the energy consumption proportion in rural area and in general. As you can see, the total amount of final energy consumption is less in the rural area, but the proportion is different too. As you can see, petroleum is the dominant final energy in rural area, and gas is not. So, which means if we wanted to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, we need to replace petroleum and suggest some carbon neutral fuels. And I've conducted some expert surveys, experts from agriculture, rural development, and energy. There are some valuable answers. The first question was, what are the most important renewable energy sources in rural area? To achieve the 2050 net zero goal, definitely photovoltaics. And the second question is curious. Do you think the rural energy demand will be increased or decreased? The answers are not 50-50, but 60% of the answers said that it will be increased, but the 40% of answers said that it will be decreased. It is curious. But it is more clear answers. Which energy sources should be the first to be replaced to achieve carbon neutrality in rural areas? More than 70% of the answers point that petroleum should be replaced. And the measures will be electrification and efficiency and replacing fossil fuels. Now we can find some solutions to achieve the carbon neutrality in rural areas. We need to suggest electrifications and carbon neutral fuels to replace petroleum. Now we need to think about the needs of rural community. There are needs to improve quality of life, to reduce substantial emissions, and to create jobs. And even though it is not on the top priority, they wanted to respond to climate crisis based on engagement process by transforming of their energy system. As of this result is an innovative solution. So we need to think about their needs and demand. So I think the collaborative model is made of process model, energy system model, and business model. And among them, process model is essential. Without engagement of local people, those kind of model will be ended after the end of support from government. So there are some basic steps, like the first step is addressing local community challenges, and the second step is engaging stakeholders. Third one is developing an energy transition strategy and action planning, identifying solutions, implementing strategies, and securing financing are followed. I will skip this model because it is too complicated and the time is limited. Now, business model. From this newly suggested distributed energy system based on renewables, we can produce electricity, heating, cooling, and fuels such as biomethane and biogas. So we can find some possibilities of power generation business, charging, demand response, and data analysis. And there will be affordable payoffs such as electricity price and REC, and carbon credit value and fuel price. Business model is important because it will be operational only with business model. Here's my case. You can see the red dot on the west coast of South Korea. The municipality is Hongseong-gun. Its population is around 100,000. And there is a rural community, Gyeolseong-myeon. Its population is 2,000. And its character is the amount of livestock. There are more than 600,000 pigs, which means there are plenty of potential biogas, and there are lots of problems related to its stench. The current energy system, and they can access to national power grid, but they cannot access to city gas grid, which means they use propane gas to respond to their heating demand. And they use gasoline and diesel for their transportation demand and agricultural machinery and heating. And there is a biogas plant before this pilot project. Its capacity is around 440 kilowatt. And the owner of this biogas plant and swine farm is the local leader. And it is more important than everything that we have to get a local leader with commitment. Without this kind of commitmented local leader, it is not operational. We are the expert from outside. So I wanted to emphasize once more process model. Who should be involved? There are players such as planners, decision makers, investors, and local actors. RDA is the Rural Development Administration, is the national government agency. ENS is me, Energy and Space is the planner and swine farm. And in the investor group, you can see a tractor company. It will be curious because, yeah, tractor company is now developing a new type of tractor which use biomethane as of its fuel. And when you're grouping the actors, you can find that swine farm and municipality play the main role in this process model. Yes, this is the energy system combined with business model. So we can find some possibilities of return on investment like fuel saving payment, carbon credit value, and electricity and RS payment. And there are stench reduction and water quality improvement. Even though those values don't have market or monetary value, but they are still meaningful to the local resident. Now we are going to the conclusion. First of all, rural energy transition needs to respond to the community demand. A collaborative model includes participatory approaches, climate solutions, and proper business models. Planners like us can help the community find solutions with our experiences. But however, without engagement of the community, those solutions will almost certainly not be implemented later in the end. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. It was a very interesting presentation. I think there might be a huge demand for the energy transition in rural areas in Asian region. So I think we will have to think what we can do to contribute. And our next speaker is Ms. Chanto Milatanapong. He is the Director General of the Ministry of Energy and Mines of Lao PDR. He is overseeing Lao PDR's efforts for clean energy transition, including energy efficiency and green hydrogen. And KEA and MEM of Lao PDR have been closely working together for the past 2 years on the development of energy efficiency testing and certification program. And today he will be giving us a presentation on these collaborative activities. Please welcome Mr. Milatanapong to the stage.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to share some the collaboration between the Ministry of Energy and Mines and KA regarding for the energy efficiency field that we have working last few years. Actually, I would like to talk about the program what we have done with collaboration with the KA, some others, the ODA project that we have implemented since last few years. So we since you know the we study collaborate with the KEA or as well to the establishment of the testing and certification system of the to introduce energy efficiency the grading system in Laos. The actually phase one that we have done actually for the technical advice is the legal framework and strengthening national capacity and building in on energy labeling and standard. So the other project that we with working with the other agency like we could to be build and operation of eco-friendly energy towns, a cluster of the villages that with independent grid that will be used by renewable energy actually solar ET system in the far remote area that be like off-grid or isolated grid that the project already success completed in 2022 that we have already that in operation, and I think that we provide more benefit that local people who are using that electricity. In terms of the the project, we are working with the KEA for establishment of the testing and certification system in Laos. Actually, the project is take 2 years that we have for the implementation of this project. Actually, we have also the set up the target for the actually vision for that for the collaboration that for the foundation and testing and certification system to introduce an energy efficiency grading system. That the one we in terms of the government policy, we have this national energy efficiency programs that we try to focusing in the actually for the air conditioning. That I think the one part of the the consumer loss energy within the country. Also that we try to leveling that system within the country where we can get to actually we want to import it air conditioning from other country that we try to control our qualities or how to that to avoid some recon air conditioning within the country. I think we to protect that the customer that we use that air conditioning within the country. Other target that we try to minimizing for measures like a dementia management for the energy efficiency actually for the public and building and also the residents from the. So we already started this project. I think the almost a few years that we can see most of activity that we have to implement it. So during this activity we more focusing in the in terms of the development of national like leveling regulation and standard. How can we could be establish this kind of activity within the country? I think that it could be like, but not just only for the public sectors, but I think they want also the private sector should become understanding what the need for the energy labeling, because actually we have to protect our customer that will use for the electricity within the countries. So one of the detail of the plan that we have been in participate or in the implementation of this activity, we can see we on most of the project can be delivers to of the project that we can improving the capacity of the government, actually this government staff there who will be the implemented. Actually, this also that we also both sides, the ministry and our department also we have like a energy research institute who will continue to do more laboratory testing for our certification of the air conditioners, and also that we from the ministry side that actually our department we try to oversight how to say the oversee that management of this energy efficiency in the country. So the actually for the project itself, I think we have done the for the project management, we collaborate in the system of the project implementation. We have to clearly the identification, the role and responsibilities for each institutional and organization chart that the task to implementation, project participation, timeline, and budget allocation performance indicators. And we during implementation of this project activity, during last few years, we see that the cooperation in the field of energy efficiency between ministry and KEA, we see that we can extend it, but not limit it for just only for energy efficiency program. We do hope that in the future, like can be more focusing in renewable energies, because other tasks that we would like to do some energy efficiency and renewable energy, mostly in the industrial sectors. Because why we do want to do that? Because in the country Laos that we use mostly around 98% from the hydropowers. The hydropower that in terms of the climate change, we have also difficulty for the power supply in the system. One of the target that we try to promote, industrial sectors or public sectors that can be develop their own, or even the ESCO that can be direct PPA with that industrial or public sector that can be directly that one of our target in terms of this cooperation in the future, in terms also credit framework for the both country. The cooperation in the green, the energy efficiency that can be developed like initiative realized to support for the climate change response and carbon neutrality. I think for both at Laos and maybe in Korea in the future. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Milatanapong. I believe this is one of the best practices of KEA's overseas cooperation projects. So I hope we can continue this beautiful partnership. And our last speaker for this session will be Dr. Jae-sung Kwak. Please welcome Dr. Kwak to the stage.
Good afternoon. I know I'm standing between you and the coffee, so I'll try to be concise and compact in my presentation. My presentation is actually the case-oriented one based on the previous presentations, especially Mr. Choi and Dr. Chung, about the KEA support, multilateral collaboration, and ITMO 6.2, all in one package. I'm a university professor by profession. I'm teaching and researching international development. At the same time, I'm a project developer and implementer. And also, that's why I'm working with Kodak, which is Korea's development consulting. Highly appreciate for the opportunity also for both ADB and Korea Energy Agency. I brought a case about the transformation of conventional, highly emission generating motorcycle to the electronic motorcycle in Cambodia. Well, this is not a venue for discussing the transportation here, by inevitably. However, I have to mention it. As you know, the transport sector now responsible for 15% of greenhouse gas emission. It is the fastest growing GHG emitting sector, expected to reach a share of more than 30% in the future. This is, I think, the global average. However, if you get down to the Southeast Asia, you will be surprised to notice everybody drives a motorcycle 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and right now. They're still driving highly emission generating conventional petroleum-based motorcycles. So the dependence on the motorcycle is very high, and the emission is incredibly high. That's why it is one of the most major pollutant in the transportation sector in the Southeast Asian countries, where there is a lack of public transportation. Also, people are very much addicted to this personal mobility because it is very convenient. You don't have to even walk. You just drive from your doorstep and then go to wherever you like, and you walk minimum maybe 100 steps a day. So as you are addicted that much that you cannot get away from that. Okay, that's the reality. It is believed that low carbon e-mobility cannot contribute to carbon reduction, but also reduce the pollution. So creating jobs, making streets safer, strengthening infrastructure, and stimulating local economies. So how many units we are talking about? There are well over 200 million units in whole Southeast Asia. So this is ultimately our target market. So let's convert all these to the electronic bike for the more sustainability sake. I'll get back to this partnership model later. Some 5 years ago, a company owner called Verius approached me. We've been knowing each other for many years. And then he casted an idea about this. What about introducing this electronic motorbike in Cambodia? Okay, seemingly good idea. The idea is we introduce the battery-driven electronic bike, which is a battery can be detachable. If you open the seat and you can take the battery out, the battery can be charged in the separate charging station, so very quickly. So when the motorbike arrives at the charging station, you can just swap it in 5 seconds and off you go. There are 2 batteries, so 2 batteries will run on each motorcycle about 100 kilometers technically, but for the safety purposes, we limit this 80 kilometers, which is enough for several days of commuting. To be able to do that, we need a good number of motorcycles and a good number of charging stations all around. This model does not stop here. So if your motorcycle runs and runs and runs, your battery level get down to lower than 70%, you're not able to use for the transportation purpose. It's not efficient anymore. So you have to take it out and replace it to the new one. However, still, it has electricity. So electricity can be used for some other purposes. Home ESS, schools, and hospitals. So we can use it next step. So this is called battery reuse. And then when we reasonably discharge all the battery capacity, now the battery is ready to go to the recycling center. And we have built, actually we are building the recycling factories, which is first of its own, its kind, in whole Mekong region in Phnom Penh. Then they will physically make the black powder, and then black powder later can be transported to Korea, and there we can chemically extract again the raw materials, nickel, manganese, whatever, lithium maybe, yeah. And then they can be sold again to the battery factory, like SK, Samsung, or the LG and so on. And then we have established this circular economy model that we can do from the motorcycles here. So partnership, initially Korea Energy Agency supported this energy policy consulting for Cambodia project. So those ingredients of this project are consultings, master planning, and pilot e-charging station and couple of e-bikes here. So we conducted several series of capacity building programs and established a good charging station at the Ministry of Mine and Energy, whose minister came yesterday to deliver a speech. After a successful launching of this pilot project, we knocked the door to the KOICA, which is Korea's main grant agency, and they have a beautiful program called Inclusive Business Solution. So if we are able to achieve development purpose and business purpose, that is eligible for the KOICA support. So every year, KOICA support about $500,000 for the project, and also the company matches some money, and then we could scale up this project. So charging stations are built here and there, and we're able to construct our manufacturing with assembling plant in the outskirts of Phnom Penh. And that was based on the grant aid. Next step, we are in search of the market-based support with a good number of financial resources. Why we need that? There is a secret in this project, because in this motorcycle, you will be curious, that will be very expensive. Yes, they're expensive. If we include all those costs, especially the battery cost included, and we sell it, the consumer price will be as much as $3,500. But average traditional bike, petroleum bike, the new one, is now cost $2,500 in Cambodia. Then who's gonna buy this? No one is gonna buy this. Well, okay, then let's not sell the battery. Battery will remain in the property of the company because battery will be reused and recycled later. And then why don't we just sell the nutshell to the customers? Then we're able to knock down the cost of the e-motorcycle as low as $1,500. Now, with some financial packages involved. So many people showed strong interest in that. However, the sales is not skyrocketed yet because there are lack of charging stations. There are not many charging stations around. So you have to secure the charging station. Also, you have to secure the sales of the motorcycle first. So we need to scale up. That's why we've been contacting many financial institutions from Korea Exim Bank and also venture capitals and Cambodia Securities. Interesting, local financial institutions and Korean financial institutions and venture capitals, they also showed very strong interest. But recently, we were also discussing with the British International Investment, that is the UK's main developed finance institutions. So probably we can reach the more scalable financial resources coming to our project. Implementation partners, we have Berryworth and Koda. Also, there are interesting collaborators. Uri Bank, which is Korea's private banking system, and they have branches here and there in Cambodia. That means they have some spaces. They have spaces for the ATM, the cash machine. But the issue is we are not using the cash anymore. Not many people are using the cash machine. So many banking institutions are now, they're transforming the ATM spaces for some other purposes as well. Okay, we agree on that. Why don't you give us the space? And then we create the charging station by utilizing the traditional bank branch spaces. So here and there are collaborators. Also, Royal University of Phnom Penh, they have a good building which is supported by KOICA as well, and they are providing also the space for the charging stations as well. So along with all those partners, so it's going pretty well, I think. So we have created a circular economy, that's the projected outcome, and assembly factory location, and also the recycling factory location is very nearby. So sooner or later, we're going to establish the whole circular economy ecosystem in Cambodia, along with this e-mobility tour in Siem Reap, Angkor Wat. So if you ever visit Angkor Wat, try to rent a motorcycle, e-bike, and try to take your own self-guided tour along the path in the forest. That's different sentiment that you have. That's really nice there. Okay, now we have ITMO vision also. So Cambodia and Korea will sign, I think, the first ever ITMO sooner or later. It's being already approved by the two parties as well. So we are on the verge of very historical moment of the ITMO collaboration as well. I don't think we should stop here. Actually, real purpose that we are doing is we should horizontally and vertically scale up this model towards the e-vehicle ecosystem. Traditionally, the transportation has always been a burden to the grid. Now, let's de-burdening this transportation means to the grid, because now we are entering the phase of electric motor car, and why don't we utilize the batteries in the electric motor car for the grid as converting these batteries in the car to the ESS, electronic storage system, for the grid as well. So that's why we need a new concept of vehicle to grid, V2G model. It should be considered for newly established e-vehicle ecosystem. But the problem in Korea, Europe, and United States, we already have old models. So current electric car charging system, they can only charge from the charger to the car, not able to taking the electricity from the car to the charger or grid at all. So our investment, I think, is completely misplaced so far. And why don't you change the paradigm? So if your country have not started this ecosystem of electric vehicle, you have to begin with this. So introduce the charger communicable with the car with bi-directional chargings. At the same time, introduce the car, they're able to charging and also discharging from the car. So those both parties, both hardwares, it should meet the standard, and then we can fully connect the car to the grid. Imagine the situation. You're driving a car, your grid is on burden, and then you will get the message that if you connect your car, the grid will purchase the electricity with very high price. And then you can sell the electricity in your car to the grid, and you go back home and you recharge the car with minimum cost. You can even earn money, theoretically. So this, you need a holistic and very careful approach in establishing the new ecosystem of vehicle to grid. There are some cases we have in the US and also in Europe. Some limited scale interchangeable bidirectional chargings and dischargings are now ongoing. So, especially in the Southeast Asia, I think we have to design very carefully how to scale up and how to establish the new ecosystem for electric car and to lower the burden to the grid and introduction of this low carbon emission means of electricity, means of transportation. That's all I have today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zhang. I think that is the kind of project that we need to deliver, the project that can both parties need and that can benefit both parties. And now we are done with the presentation, and now let's move on to the Q&A portion. So I would like to invite all the speakers come back up to the stage. So we would like to take questions from the audience. Is there anyone who would like to ask questions to our speakers? Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Please come up to the mic at the center of this room.
So my name is Rishikesh Mishra. I'm from Dabdwara, India, and I work in energy. My question is to Mr. Jaisang. On e-mobility, you said that now we need to go from vehicle to grid, but what are the cost complications do you see in that? If we want to go into that.
There's a calculation in the United States. Average car need 3,700 more investment, more costs on top of that to give that function. For the chargers, it's pretty much similar to the new charger because thanks to the advancement of the technology. It's more of a regulation issue rather than the cost or the hardware, actually.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to ask questions? So then I'm going to ask our panels. My question is for Dr. Yoon Sung Kim. Yes, you said that for the success of the rural energy transition and to the collaborative model you mentioned in your presentation, what aspect do you think is the most important? For example, we need the strategy development, we need the engagement, we need financing, and what do you think is the priority of your models?
Yeah, everything is important, but if I choose only one thing, engagement is the essential part because from the previous experiences, if the project leader just focused on the installation of the capacity, the model is just ended when the support from outside is over. So engagement and local ownership is the most important part of this model to be operational.
Thank you for that. So has anybody come up with questions? I encourage all of you to be as active as you possibly can. Maybe our speakers have fully explained everything in their presentation. And then, so maybe I have to ask one more question. So please come up to the mic. Thank you.
So my question is also about the rural energy transition. So you spoke in your presentation, a lot of you mentioned different sources of clean energy, but for rural communities in Southeast Asia, what source of clean energy do you see being the most beneficial in those locations?
Thank you for your valuable question. And
could you please tell us your name and where you're from?
Oh, sorry. My name is Moraine. I'm an 11th grade student at the International School of Manila. I'm from the Netherlands, but I've lived here my whole life.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you for your valuable question. Yeah, when you think about rural areas, we should think about the agricultural production activities. So there is some side effect from agricultural production like stench or water treatment. So if we just want to focus on earning money from electricity, we may avoid to look at the real problems from rural communities. So if we just think about the view from provider of renewable energy, we may miss something very point. So we need to think about their process, fevers, and the the side products from the agricultural production. Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
Well, thank you for the presenters, 5 presenters for your presentation. Well, I have not specific. I have not the specific question, but I have some general comment on the 5 presentation, where the last 3 presentation are relating the 3 specific case. One is the Korean in Korean case, and the other 2 is in the Cambodia and Laos, where the Korean ODA is applied. Where I found today I find out again the necessity of the support in rural fishing area in Korea in terms of the clean energy transition. Even though we are still, we should supporting the developing countries throughout the world, we also double our efforts to support our rural area in terms of the clean energy transition. So as you said, Dr. Kim said, the local ownership is very important in proceeding or for secure the support, this kind of project. And that kind of the theme, the local ownership, could be applied in our effort to supporting the other developing country, whether it will be Laos or the Cambodia or in other countries especially in our continent. So we should continue to support, especially in the clean energy transition in our region. And I think is a very interesting case I heard from the Dr. Kwak presentation is the idea of the interlinkage between vehicle to grid and grid to vehicle. That could be a very good idea, but the idea could be commercialized through the market-driven approaches. So we could have a more specific idea could be implemented or realized in the coming years, how to make that idea could be realized. I think the idea itself is a very refreshing and then could be workable. So the point is how to realize that. That's my point. And the last 3 presentation, I think, are all relating to the first 2 presentation, which is how to convert our support to the developing countries in terms of clean energy transition could be converted to our overseas mitigation program. Of course, not all the ODA programs cannot be converted, but some of them we could see some potential for the future conversion or the application of our approach to get some credit under the Article 6 of Paris Agreement. Thank you.
Can I have some commercial? Actually, there is a booth of Korea Energy Agency in the entrance. Actually, I am working for Korea Energy Agency, and I'm sure that Korea Energy Agency has a lot of experience in energy and renewable energy efficiency. So if you have any questions or if you have any items to share with, or if you listen to the experience of the Korea Energy Agency, please visit the Korea Energy Agency's booth in the entrance of this area. Thank you.
And
Yoon-kyung, can I add some comments?
sorry.
Can I add some comment?
Sure.
Thank you. And I believe that in this session, in the first part, we are talking about the roles and the cases. And I know we are talking about the process, but we know the solution is important, and securing financing is the solution. And there will great, interesting presentations will be in the second part, right? So please stay here after the coffee break. Thank you.
And are there any brave audience? Thank you.
Sergey Yelkin, USAID Central Asia Mission. My question is related to pilot Korean project in Uzbekistan on pellet productions and manufacturing and using. It would be good to know a little more what capacity of power plant it will be utilize these pellets, and also it's supposed to be substitute some existing thermal power plants in Uzbekistan, and even it's pellet burning, it's still emissions of CO2. Can you describe a little more?
Actually, I don't. Maybe I heard that maybe they can produce 50 ton of the pellet every day, and once you replace the coal, fossil fuel in making brick making, you don't use coal fire in brick making. So once you use the pellet fuel in the brick making process, you don't use any coal fuel. So that makes emission reduction, and that could be carbon crediting, and the carbon credit can accelerate your emission reduction project. Thank you.
And we have 4 minutes left, so maybe we can take 1 or 2 more questions.
May I?
Oh, sure.
Because my answer was too short for you, let me elaborate a little more about this dynamics related to the V2G. Average car battery now has 77 kilowatts, between 77 and 85, yeah, something like, which is good for 1 week use of average Korean household electricity. At the same time, average parking hours of a household passenger vehicle is 20 hours. You run 4 hours? Oh no, I don't run 4 hours every day, much less actually. So cars are parked more than on the road. So that's why we need to change the perception of the vehicle, not just as a means of transportation, but to relieve the burden on the grid. When you plan the transition to electric vehicle, do not follow the Korean example, please. We just put the old chargers here and there where the land price is cheap. At the same time, we just introduce any car produced from the car makers. So you need a proper regime and institution followed by regulations. It is a pity the first ever bill in California enforcing that every new car introduced in California should be equipped with a V2G facility. It is not passed. The reason is the probability of raising the car price sold in California. So that concerned the members of Assembly of California State. not accepting this new bill. But this is the way to be in the future. So we need a very careful master plan and regulation, and then begin all together. So this holistic approach concept is needed. If you have not started yet, any country, do not follow Korean example or any developed country example yet. So then you can think with grid, energy, and transportation, financing, all together, right? Now, new companies, they are coming in the market. We are going to purchase the car batteries from the people owning the electric car. Because electric car batteries is a big amount, and that will considerably lower the burden of the passenger car owners, because the car battery will be owned by someone else. And then we just pay monthly to rent the battery from them. And then also we can de-risk the possible physical risk that coming from the batteries as well. So new ideas are coming every day. So let's monitor very carefully and implement to the this new concept to the new countries when you start the new ecosystem. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I do agree. In India also, we are discussing, and as our organization also, we are working on grid charging. So we have energy access platform. Taking idea from there, we wanted to, and we have worked a bit to mark all the transformers, to look at the capacity of transformers and see how EV can be integrated. We are starting on that. But I agree with your point that, like you said, vehicles are parked for, used for 3 to 4 hours maximum if we are using in the city area. It makes sense. If we have solar, my idea or basic idea that I get from all the reading is that if we have solar power plants and all that in our offices and all, our car is there for the whole time, since morning till evening. If we charge that, when we go home back, and in India, we have seen that the peak energy demands are during the evening hours. So in that way, if that car battery can be a power source for the house, and then it can within 5 or 10 meters, it can supply power from there, not to take from the grid, and the demand can be reduced. So I totally believe in what you said, more innovative ideas, and also that because return on investment for a car battery will be too long if we only use for 3 hours, and it will be idle for many years. So why not to start using that? And in that case, maybe if time of day tariff will come, in that case, the consumers can use that power which they charge from cheap solar power, and then reduce the electricity bill, and in a way, the investments are returned soon. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now time is up, and if you have any questions, then I encourage you to connect with our speakers after this session. So we are now going to have a coffee break, and we will reconvene at 4 o'clock. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and to those of you who are continuing to join us at this deep dive workshop on collaborative dynamics in clean energy. We appreciate your being here. We are now entering the second half of this deep dive workshop. And the second half will be more focused on industries and technologies. We are going to hear from energy experts from international organizations and private sectors. They will highlight their programs, their activities, and their solutions, and so on. So without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker for this session, Mr. Gürbüz Gonur. He is the Director of Country Engagement and Partnership of International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA. Before joining the IRENA, Mr. Gonur worked as a senior energy economist of the Islamic Development Bank, and he was a senior expert at the Energy Charter Secretariat in Brussels. Today he will be sharing IRENA's efforts on decarbonizing industry sector. So please welcome Mr. Gonur to the stage.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Very warm greetings from IRENA, and it's a really great pleasure for attending this distinguished events with distinguished participants, and to provide you Irina's perspective in some of the essential dimension of energy transition, which is decarbonizing the industrial sector. Because I think all of us would agree that we are off track with our climate objectives, climate goals as set by the Paris Agreement. And it is not Irina saying it, or it is not you are saying that. It is the science telling that to us. It is the IPCC report. It is the concluding document of the global stocktake, which took place during COP28, and the outcomes coming out of that, clearly telling us that we are not on the track with climate objectives. And despite the progress, we are still far from some of these key indicators of achieving net zero by 2050. And clearly what we see from the power sector, because as you remember, COP28 came up with this high ambition and commitment made by more than 130 countries for tripling renewables and doubling energy efficiency improvements by 2030, which translates into deploying an installed capacity of around or more than 11,000 gigawatts of renewable power by 2030, which is 3 times more than today. That's why we're calling tripling. What we see today, I mean, just let's check the last year, 473 gigawatts installed, which is in fact 50% more than the previous year. Quite a substantial increase, but still we are far from deploying 1,000 gigawatts per year of our ambition, which is the 11,000 gigawatt translates to. And we are falling short because it is important. We are talking about industrial sector, but it is important to talk about power sector when we are talking about industrial sector, because large part of the solutions rely on electrification, which means deploy low-cost solar and wind or other renewable technologies as much as possible, and electrify the end-use sectors. Electrify the transport sector. That's why we are talking a lot about e-mobility, but still relying on coupling of renewables and transport sector consumption. We are talking about electrification of industrial use. We are talking about electrification of residential use, heating, cooling. These are these are the key solutions for renewable energies, direct electrification, use of renewable energy for direct electrification of industrial sectors. When we talk about hard-to-abate sectors, it is still, we are talking about renewable energy. Because if you're talking about green hydrogen, it is relying on, again, the electricity produced through renewables. So tripling objective is key. It is important for, and it covers large part of the solutions. Obviously, there are additional solutions that I'm going to talk about also, but electrification is key. And I think I don't need to talk about the importance of end-use electrification, because if you're serious about net zero by 2050, then we need to address end-use sectors. Here at the last line, you will see that 40% of greenhouse gas emissions, they come from the industrial sector, for instance. And I'm not counting the transport here. So it is extremely important to decarbonize the sector. And we have a combination of technological solutions. As I said, electrification is the key, but there are additional solutions, especially wherever we cannot electrify, wherever the so-called hard-to-abate sectors, either in the industrial part or the transport part. In the transport, especially aviation and long-haul shipping, are not fully suitable for electrification, and there are additional solutions needed. Same goes with some of the energy-intensive sectors where especially high-temperature heat is needed. Steel, iron and steel, fertilizers, petrochemicals, cement, you name it. There are certain sectors. There it is important to come up with additional solutions. That's where especially green hydrogen and derivatives come in. Because it provides the solutions that electrification cannot provide. So that's why it is important to look into your, as a country, your own setting, your industrial setup, the needs, specific needs that you have in your own country, and design a solution, a combination. That's why we are talking about, a combination of technological solutions which are most suitable to your case. There are so many moving parts, starting from the supply chains to critical minerals to trade dimension. So there are so many moving parts, but I mean, each country has to make or formulate their own, its own combination of technological solutions and move forward with how you can enable those solutions for large-scale deployment. And IRENA, within that background, or based on this background, we have taken the initiative to how we can facilitate the deployment of solutions specifically in the industrial sector. And that's how we came up with, almost more than a year ago, Alliance for Industry Decarbonization, where IRENA is just a facilitator and coordinator of the Secretariat, but it is actually an initiative of the industry itself. So industrial companies, they come together, they set their own ambition, they identify their work plan, and they implement it. So it is completely industry-driven initiative, and it is based on how some strategic partnerships, peer-to-peer support can be achieved among those companies, how they can support each other, how certain business arrangements can be made among them to be able to implement those solutions. And IRENA is in the middle of it to facilitate it. So far, we have more than 70 members and knowledge partners signed up to it, and across the globe. I mean, it's not an industrial countries or kind of well-off companies initiative. It is, there are companies from Africa, there are big steel companies from India. Each company produces as much as Germany produces steel. They come together under the Alliance umbrella and they work together. And what do? They work on 6 different areas. There are 6 working groups, 6 focus areas and 6 working groups. Each working group is led by one of the company, and then constituted with interested other companies in each working group. And the 3 technology areas of renewables, bioenergy with CCUS, and green hydrogen. And then a specific focus on heat process optimization and integration. And then 2 enabling areas, human capital and finance. And they have developed their own work plans under each group, and they are implementing it. I'll give you a couple of examples at the end about their work. We brought them together during COP. In fact, this is the 2nd meeting. The first meeting was in Sharm el-Sheikh in the first COP27. And they came up with this voluntarily decarbonization commitment, where they have made commitments in kind of a wide range of areas, starting with increasing renewables deployment, in fact, doubling it, not tripling it, including almost doubling green hydrogen deployment, increasing bioenergy with CCUS significantly, then which will altogether lead to a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, halving it from today's level. And also, which also underlines the financing needs and investments, and they commit to provide financing up to $50 billion US dollars by 2030. And they have also committed, especially reskilling is one of the key aspects because you need capabilities in companies. So how to reskill in the personnel in the companies, and they want to increase this training, current level of 15% to over 90% in the coming period to 2030. So I would like to give you two examples of work that they have done. They came up with a report recently about the solutions to decarbonize heat in the steel industry. Steel industry, I don't know if we have anyone from the steel sector here, but it is not easy to decarbonize. But green hydrogen especially offers a wide range of solutions. There are so many different parameters you have to look into. You have to look into, for instance, scrap steel and recovery. You need to, the capacities need for new steel production. You need to look into opportunity because especially in the steel sector, green hydrogen can be used not only for the purpose of producing heat, but also as a reducing agent for iron. So it's a kind of a larger scale deployment of green hydrogen in the steel industry. And they look into different opportunities and the need for comprehensive policy framework, financial solutions. It's extremely important because today it is expensive. And transforming the sector to decarbonize the sector, it's not a cheap effort. So there's a financial mechanism, support mechanisms, incentives, it has to be in place. And this is where it is happening. Wherever it is happening with especially public funding support. But also they highlight the importance of collaboration among different stakeholders, governments, private sector, and other stakeholders, coming together, sharing experiences, but also agree on what needs to be done. I think this is an important dimension that they are looking forward to. The other example, and then I'll finish, is from this reskilling dimension. And they have came up with this so-called My Change website. And this enables and I think provides a platform for reskilling purposes, and they started using it for their own personnel and looking into different dimensions of energy transition in end-use sectors, some of the arenas inside, but looking into some of the sectoral dimensions of it, and in the shipping sector, looking into trade dimension, how to deploy in heating and building sector, so heating sector, etc. So it's a kind of quite a broad dimension of end-use decarbonization, and which is providing an important tool for reskilling of personnel in their own companies. So they are ambitious, and I would like to take this opportunity also, either from the governments or from the private sector, to invite you to become part of this initiative. Being part of the alliance is free of charge, and benefits are extensive. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gonu, for your presentation. This presentation was especially interesting to me because South Korea is one of the most biggest and largest energy consumers in the world because of the economic structure based on the energy intensive industries, including steel manufacturing, automobile manufacturing. So I really appreciate your efforts, IRENA's efforts on the decarbonizing the industry sector. Thank you. So now let's move on to our next speaker, Dr. Sungkyung Lee, the CEO of Green Ethos Lab. She has 23 years of experience in the field of climate change and sustainable finance. And also she has contributed to the creation of ESG frameworks and models for Korean financial institutions. Dr. Lee, you have the floor.
Thank you. I am honored to have a chance to present to group as you are as dedicated as you are to tackling climate change. And before start my presentations, let me introduce myself in brief, focusing on my work experience. She introduced me, I worked for some sustainability research institutions in Korea. So I set up some ESG criteria for Korean financial companies, including National Pension Fund and also the Mira Asset Management, which is the biggest asset management company in Korea. And also I conducted some governmental research to cope with sustainability regulations and environmental regulations. So, and I started my own business just 2 months ago to specializing in green technology scale-up and sustainability finance. My presentation consisted of 2 parts. In the first part, I will look over the overall status of the climate finance in the world. And the second part, I will introduce some meaningful Korean government's policies for energy transition. And also I will introduce some example of to attract private capitals. As all we know, so the energy transition requires some extensive reforms of energy demand and supply side. So this involves the shifting laws, adjusting demand, and also reducing premiums on clean energy, and addressing the unpopularity of fossil fuel supplies. So we need technology and policy and investment. And also it is very important, this collaborative frameworks. This collaborative framework is organized these 3 factors: technology, policy, and investment. The effectiveness of a collaborative frameworks are as crucial as the magnitude of each variables in determining the extent and the speed of energy transition. This is the scale of the climate finance required to achieve carbon neutrality. As you can see, and also according to the IPCC 6th report, financial pros are a factor of 3 to 6 times lower than levels needed to reach the to limit warming to below 2 degrees Celsius. And also, according to Climate Policy Initiative, the current level of financial pros are very limited. So it should be more than 7 times until 2030. And also after post 2030, it should exceed 8.5 times. There are a huge gap. So and according to the IEA, the private capital should play a pivotal role to reach the carbon neutralities. So current share of the private sectors is only 40%, but it should be 80%. Excluding China, it should be 90% of total climate finance. This is the climate finance flow in key mitigation sectors. The total, this green chart, green bar exhibit the current level of the financial flow by key sectors. So you can see the energy is taking up the highest portion of the total financial sectors, but still it's very limited compared to the required level. And this red dot, but the bar with the red dot means the mitigation potential by the key sector. So we can see the energy sector has, and the agricultural, forest, and other land use sector has the highest potential for mitigation. This is the example of the correlation between government policies and private capital. Well, from the last year, the venture capital sector is experienced very hard time. So in most sectors, the investment was hit. So, but there is the different aspect in the hydrogen investment in the US. You can see the trend in the boost investment in hydrogen is continuously increasing. It's a totally different aspect from the whole trend of the climate tech, but it is strongly related to the government policy. In US in 2021, the government announced the plan to hydrogen shot. And as of October last year, they announced the plan to construction of 7 hydrogen harbor nationwide. So you can see the correlation between policy and private capital inflows. This is the second part. Well, so the Korean government is also trying to attract more private capital into energy transition sectors. So now I'm gonna introduce some of the meaningful policies of the Korean government. So this is the framework of the carbon neutrality and green growth. Our country is the 14th country which registered the carbon neutrality. So according to this carbon neutrality and green growth, our government released the first national plan to reach carbon neutrality. That plans incorporates many diverse policies to drive carbon neutrality, green growth, and also climate adaptations. So here are some specific policies which focuses on energy transitions. I will introduce 4 main policies. The first one is acting on the activation of distributed energy. So this is very big innovation in Korea because our energy system is very centralized, which is which is led by government. But we are trying to reform our energy system at a local level. So we are aiming to match energy demand and supply at the regional basis, encouraging encouraging the energy efficiencies, also enabling the utilization of various sources of renewable energies. And also the second one is clean hydrogen portfolio standard. Well, this in 2021, and we set mandatory quotas for hydrogen plant to supply the certain level of clean hydrogen energies when they operate. So also last year, we opened the power plant, hydrogen power plant bidding market. It's the first in the world. And the second, and the third policy is the expansion of renewable energy deployment. On May 16th this year, our government released the expansion plan of renewable energy deployment. So we will offer deploy an annual average of 6 gigawatts of renewable energy annually. So aiming to reach over 100 gigawatt cumulative capacity by 2035. Also, the last policy is expansion of mandatory targets for zero energy building. Since 2020, public buildings larger than 10,000 meters have been required to obtain zero energy building certifications. Buildings are classified to 5 grades based on their energy efficiency and their self-sufficiencies, energy self-sufficiencies. So it will extend it to the whole building by 2050. This is the example of the to attract private capital of Korean energy agencies. Along with the policies, the Korean government is also experimenting with new schemes to attract private financing. This is Korea's RE100 fund. This is designed to enhance renewable energy procurement among Korean companies. So its primary focus is facilitating power purchase agreements and long-term renewable energy certifications, particularly investing in solar and wind energy projects. The fund begins with the mother fund comprising contribution from the Korean energy agencies, proceeds from the green sales of green premium, and also an investment from IBK Industry Bank, followed by the matching with additional private capital. Well, this is the last part of my presentation. Well, I briefly introduced the overall status of climate finance and also some meaningful our government's policies. But so in Korea, the private capitals is hesitating to participate in the energy transition sector because they are afraid of taking risks at the moment. So in this situation, I think the government should read the other two parts, technologies and private capitals. So the start of the Korean government is good, and so I hope this trend will attract more private capital. But I will end up my presentations adding up just one remark. Well, I think in spite of restricted resources, Korea has achieved a very remarkable economic growth. Exploiting the excellent human capital and technology. The Korean government and the Korean companies strongly hopes to cooperate with other countries and other companies to reach carbon neutral and accelerating the urgent action for energy transition. So I think the intergovernmental cooperation could be the most powerful signal to attract private capital. So private capital. And thank you for listening my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee, for sharing the idea of collaborative alliance of technology, policy, and finance. Our next speaker is Mr. Young-wook Lee, the Senior Manager of Korea Southeast Power Corporation. Korea Southeast Power Corporation, KOEN, is one of the 6 power generation companies owned by Korean government. Mr. Lee has 11 years of experience in overseas renewable energy projects at KOEN, and today he will be sharing with us KOEN's renewable energy projects that has been carried out in collaboration with Asian Development Bank. Please welcome Mr. Lee to the stage.
Good afternoon. My name is Young-wook Lee. I'm Senior Manager responsible for renewable energy business, overseas renewable energy business in KOEN. I'm so privileged and I'm so thankful to COPIA and KEA to arrange this session, and also our good fellow ADB to host this event. I'll start with our company overview, which Ms. Park already explained. I'll skip our name and main business. If you look at financial data, we have about a little bit over $10 billion in asset size, and we also have around $6 billion for revenue. With the strong supports from Korean government, we have quite strong credit ratings in international market. And basically, for those of you who are not really familiar with KOEN and Korean Power Gencos, we are a subsidiary of KEPCO, Korea Electric Power Company, but they're 100% shareholders of those Korean Gencos, but those Gencos are, the management of those Gencos are totally independent of KEPCO. This is a snapshot of our company's facilities in domestic market and as well as overseas market. We have about 9 gigawatt that is fully owned by us in Korea. And we have about 6 gigawatt joint venture projects in Korea. And as compared to our domestic presence, we have a quite small presence in overseas market. We only have 460 gigawatts, which I will talk about in details later. Yeah, here's the main part of my presentation, our investment cases in overseas renewable energy projects. We have developed and invested in 2 hydropower projects in Asia with ADB. One in operation phase, one in Pakistan, and the other one is in Nepal, which is under construction. And as you're well aware, these ADB and those MDBs, they play such an important role for investments can be flowed into those developing countries. And they also make sure that social benefits by their investments be maximized and sustainable. If we look at more details of our Pakistan project, it is very first overseas hydropower projects done by KOEN. And it is located in Kotli City, AJK province, and our project company is based in Islamabad. The project cost is $374 million US, out of which Cohen invested and owns 76% in equity share, and ADB invested 24% of debt. Here's a project structure, and if you look at the sponsors, they're all Korean members. Cohen, as a lead sponsor, were able to invite Korean EPC players, the DL ENC and Lotte Construction, who are also they're EPC contractors. At the same time, they also equity sponsor. And in the lenders, we co-work with the ADB, IFC, KXIM, and BII for debt financing. And with the help, such a great help of those lenders, we were able to sign, negotiate and sign this bankable PPA and implementation agreement with Pakistan government. This project started its very initial development long way back, early to 2010 or 11, and Cohen had got the board approval in 2012, and in 2014 it signed an implementation agreement and PPA. We reached financial closing in 2015 and started construction. And in 2020, we started commercial operation. Ever since, the project has been running quite well and making quite stable revenue and profit. And quite recently, we made a 9th repayment, which makes that the 34% of the debt repayment has been done. Here are some highlights that we feel necessary to present you. Is that during our critical inhabitant assessment for the project, it was actually one of the major lenders' requirement that on the environmental protection issue, we identified those fish species in danger. And we had to find a solution to protect and preserve this fish in danger. So we had put a lot of efforts and resources, and we were able to find a solution with Pakistan government. And amongst many things that we did, we built and we invested, and we built a fish hatchery for protection of those fish species, which resulted in that compared to the point prior to our construction start, the biodiversity had increased 1.4 times, and fish abundance in the river increased by 2.8 times. Here's another project in Nepal. I forgot to put on my slide the size of the project. The size of the project is 216 megawatt. It is under construction now. And this one is also Cohen had invested in equity, and ADB invested in a debt financing. If we look at the project structure, it's pretty similar to our Pakistan case, but the key difference here is that an equity sponsor, we invited KIND, who is a government-owned investment institute who could invest in the equity side. Whereas KXIM, K-Sure, they only finance in the debt side, but in case there's a necessity to bring additional investor who could fill up those some gap in equity investment, we could invite Kind, who is committed 25% equity investment in the project. And if we look at the project history, I would like to emphasize that in April 2015, the major earthquake hit Nepal and hit the project site, and the project was damaged badly. It might have not been a big surprise if Cohen exited the project at the time, but we stayed with the project, and we stayed with the Nepal government and our brilliant Nepali employees, and we find a way to restart the whole process. And in 2016, we were able to find a PDA with Nepal government, and also we were able to sign PPA, power purchase agreement, with the Nepal government, which is, I believe, quite the first and only US dollar basis bankable PPA in energy sector in Nepal. And we reached financial agreement with the financial closure in 2019. A few months later, as you're aware well, that the global pandemic hit the entire world. So the project was put on hold again. But at the time, we didn't quit. And we were able to find a way to proceed with the project and sign the EPC contract. And now it is, the construction is going quite well. The progress rate at 34%. So the Cohen, one of the major strengths that Cohen can bring, we could bring Korean EPC players, and we can bring Korean lenders for both debt and equity side. And the key value of Cohen is that even though those major natural disaster hit the project 2 times, we didn't quit, and show our persistency and our value, that we don't only care about like profit, we also care about social responsibility. Here's some risk management case. Because of those earthquake in Nepal and accidents due to like major flood, including those major flood in Laos, across the world, those construction or risk insurance, the cost of this insurance had gone up quite significantly. So, and simply we had to pay much higher price for less coverage range, for higher deductible, which was not affordable to us. So we found a way that by technically proving the risk levels relating to the reoccurrence of those major earthquake and major flood to be low. And even in case of reoccurrence, we could find a way to manage it technically. So we were able to lower those sponsors' liability to our affordable level. Besides our hydropower projects that we co-work with ADB, here are some other projects that we invested in Chile. Putting those 2 projects, the combining capacity is about 100 megawatt, with the project cost 131 million US dollar. And this one, just one of the interesting factors is that Chile, with such abundant solar resources, one time in summertime, it hit the 13 hours in generation hour. 13 hours means more than 60% availability. So we have quite a big interest in Chile to expand our overseas business and going forward. Given the time limit, I'll just skip this part. And Cohen is a company with a high dependency of coal, on coal firing, which means that we also have such a large burden to lower our carbon emission and make transition into clean energy. And here, what I want to emphasize is actually we did a lot of things to overcome our weakness and obligation. We actually shut down our old coal-fired plants. And we also lowered our capacity factor for young coal-fired plants. As a result, in 2020, we reduced more than 20 million tons of carbon as compared to 2018. That is, as a single company, Cohen made a contribution to national total carbon reduction, the 31% of national total reduction as a single company in 2022. So we're running at the very front in coping with the climate change and being proactive to lower the carbon emission. Here is the last part of my presentation. Cohen, with the high dependency of coal firing, we are also planning to still run our coal firing plants in a more economic, more like a cleaner way with lower carbon emission by co-firing our coal with clean ammonia and clean hydrogen. And we are recognized in the international market as a largest off-taker for clean ammonia. And starting from 2028, our consumption estimates is 400,000 tons for green ammonia, which will gradually increase to 1.3 million tons for green ammonia. So we have been quite active in developing the international projects that we seek to participate in as an investor and off-taker. So in going forward, although it is quite challenging task, we will reduce those greenhouse gas reductions with renewable energy and with coal firing with green ammonia. Yeah, that's it for my presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Young Lee. From your presentation, we were able to learn and understand Cohen's expertise and experience in renewable energy projects. And I was very impressed by your efforts, especially on the hydro project in Nepal, which took more than 10 years and still ongoing. And now I would like to invite our final speaker for the day, Mr. Dong-Kyu Shin. Dong-Kyu Shin is the Vice President at Doosan Enability and is now supervising combined cycle power plant design, including gas and hydrogen turbine application. He has more than 28 years of experience in business management and strategic planning in power generation sector. Please welcome Mr. Dong Shin to the stage.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the attendance here today. Frankly speaking, I'm worried, a little bit worried about my presentation because my topic is very keen aligned with technical solution. So it's not very interesting for you guys. However, I'll do my best by using the very easy terms and conditions in my presentation. Don't worry about that because the English is my mother tongue, so I cannot help using the very easy and the simple expression in English. Okay, my name is Dong Shin from Doosan Ability. Today, I would like to introduce to you some practical technology alternatives that are applicable in the era of decarbonization that we are facing. Although I cannot elaborate on all of the technical solution due to time constraint, I hope my presentation today will provide a chance for us to ponder upon realistic issues and requirements that should be considered in the journey to carbon neutrality. Doosan Ability was established in 1962 and has grown over the past 60 years based on our own OEM technology in power and water businesses. However, in the face of the era of carbon neutrality, Doosan Ability is being reshaped as a carbon-free solution provider and pursue the just transition toward environmentally the sustainable economy and the society for all. More specifically, we offer technological solutions in the major field of the power generation, such as nuclear and wind power and the combined cycle and the hydrogen and ammonia. Today, I'd like to talk about the practical and realistic transition process to carbon neutrality based on Doosan's technologies. Currently, in the power generation field, especially the Asia-Pacific region, is still highly dependent on coal-fired power generation. And the absolute amount of coal-fired power generation is increasing by the year. This seems to be an inevitable consequences of absence of affordable energy alternatives and solutions in country in the process of industrialization. However, this heavy reliance on coal-fired power can be an obstacle in achieving each country's ambitious target for net zero society. One might say immediate shutdown of coal-fired power plants and adoption of renewable energy sources could be the answer to meeting the ambitious target. But in reality, it is difficult to find the various alternatives, viable alternatives due to the various practical challenges. To name a few among those challenges, first of all, is it possible to overcome the economic challenges associated with conversion of carbon-free energy solution? Second, can we ensure energy security despite the rapid transition of energy sources? Third, can we have reasonable alternatives and solutions to control the curtailment for the renewable energies? Lastly, is it acceptable to see massive job reduction resulting from the phase out of fossil fuel? Now, the time has come for us to consider and decide what is realistic and practical solution and alternatives are, rather than merely declaring ideal carbon neutrality. As an answer, Doosan would like to propose the ammonia co-firing power generation technology. The ammonia co-firing is the fuel transition technology which offers the dramatic reduction of CO2 emission for remaining the coal-fired power plant during the period of expanding the clean energy. The technical concept is very simple. This is the technology that generates the power by converting the sum of the coal fuel into ammonia in the existing coal-fired power plant. Of course, in order to apply this kind of technical solution, the several kind of critical and key technology should be required, like ammonia burner combustion technology and ammonia supply system and the safety design, and technical evaluation for existing boiler component, and so on and so on. Fortunately, Japan and Korea already secured 20% to 30% of ammonia co-firing technology. Especially, Doosan and Nobility has completed the 30% of ammonia burner development with excellent CO2 and NOx emission last year. This solution brings the advantage of maintaining power output while reducing carbon dioxide by using ammonia. In addition, this technology allowed an easy conversion because it required only a few boiler components like ammonia burner to be modified, and most of the facility of entire power plant can be utilized as it is. Here is the more specific example that can illustrate the benefit. If 20% co-firing technology is applied to a 600 megawatt coal-fired power plant, 0.8 million tons of carbon dioxide can be reduced per year. And if the plant is operated for approximately 25 years until achieving complete carbon neutrality in 2050, which is equivalent to closing the plant 5 years early. This will be very practical and realistic bridge technology for the interim period leading up to complete transition to renewable energy, reducing carbon dioxide while maintaining power output and protecting the neighborhood around the plant. In Korea, 20% ammonia co-firing is already being demonstrated in 4 different power plants through the government R&D project, which are scheduled to be completed by 2027, including just before Mr. Lee mentioned, the COANS project is included. The annual CO2 reduction from 20% ammonia co-firing is these 4 demonstration plants alone is equivalent to reforesting 2.3 times the area of Manila. And as you can see, the illustration below, the effect is maximized over a longer operation period. From next year, we will start technology development to increase the co-firing ratio to 50% or higher and expand it to additional demonstration. Oops. Sorry. A take break. Do you guys need a copy? Please tell me. I bring to you. Okay. So far, I have explained about ammonia co-firing technology as a bridge technology during the transition period. As I mentioned earlier, Doosan has already transitioned to a new business portfolio based on its eco-friendly technology since 2014. So I will briefly introduce Doosan's carbon-free power generation technology for achieving carbon neutrality. First is wind power. Doosan owned both OEM technology and EPC business capability, and it has experience of executing projects in demonstration complex in Korea. Especially, we are maximizing operational efficiencies through remote control using the lifecycle operating system of the wind power plant. Next, Doosan is also making a headway in the gas turbine field. In 2020, Doosan became a world fifth gas turbine OEM company by successfully manufacturing its own gas turbine through technology development. Based on this success, we are currently developing the 50% hydrogen co-firing turbine and 100% hydrogen combustion turbine by 2027. As you can see, Doosan has a lineup of gas turbine model from 5 megawatt to 380 megawatt. And we aim to complete the hydrogen turbine development of all gas turbine model within 2027. So far, I have talked about the technology that are required in the journey to carbon neutrality. As I have explained, the technology to move us forward have already been conceptualized and ready for commercialization. However, none of this can be realized without policy and financial support. And it is time for government and companies to cooperate and for countries to cooperate to embark on practical discussion to achieve carbon neutrality. And there is not much time left for us until achieving the NDC target. As you can see on the screen, some countries are already preparing technical cooperation and policies, but now we need the whole of Asia to get on board. If we all work together and make progress together, we can achieve true carbon neutrality and net zero society. Doosan is fully ready as technical partner and supporter of carbon neutrality, and our doors always open for communication. Please feel free to contact us at any time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Dong-Shin, for sharing the decarbonizing technologies in power sector. I believe our audience really enjoyed and learned a lot from your presentation. So now that was the end of the presentations, and let's now move on to the Q&A session. And I would like to invite all the speakers come back up to the stage. Well, we do have a couple of initial questions, and after that, I encourage all audience to be active and ask questions to our speakers. Well, I think we have many audience from the energy-intensive countries. So, on behalf of them, I would like to ask Mr. Gonu just a simple question. And I think some of the audience is interested in participating in the alliance that IRENA initiated. And is there any preconditions or obligations to be a member of the AFID?
Thank you very much. In fact, no. It is a very easy process, just submitting an expression of interest to become part of the alliance. And then we provide the confirmation, and there is some information that needs to be provided, but very basic information. Then you become part of the alliance. It's more important what you do with it after, because basically we want to have all members to be active members of the alliance. So we expect the companies to express, first of all, an interest to become a member of one or more of the working groups, depending on the area of they're operating, and then ready to sharing the vision of the alliance and working with them in pursuing the decarbonization objectives. Because some of the companies, they are very interested to develop their own decarbonization plans and implement it. And in that effort, both IRENA, other knowledge partners, but also the other members of the alliance are expected to contribute to it and support it. So it is not a matter of becoming a member of alliance, but becoming an active member of the alliance.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And I have one question for Mr. Dong-Kyu-shin. Well, given the reality, I think that phasing out or shutting down all the coal-fired power plant is impossible practically. So I think this hydrogen and ammonia co-firing technology can be a bridge in the transition from the fossil fuel to the clean energy. And what is the key and core technology of the ammonia co-firing technology, and how? What is the level of the technology development?
Okay, the answer is the ammonia co-firing, the burner technology is crucial for the conversion of the pure conversion from the coal to ammonia. However, I would like to emphasize one thing is Doosan Enerbility was finalized the burner technology at the end of last year. However, we have to understand the two things. First of all, we have the short-term and long-term solution for the conversion, the fuel transition. So as I mentioned, the ammonia co-firing technology is short-term solution, as I mentioned, the bridge technology. However, we have to understand the long-term technology is renewable energy and the hydrogen, the single firing, the power plant. So we have to develop the burner technology from 20% of co-firing and 30 and 50 and the ammonia single firing. That is the process of the long-term fuel conversion technology. That's all.
Okay, thank you. And now let's include our audience, perhaps. So any questions from the audience? Please come up to the mic.
Thank you, all speakers, for sharing your knowledge and experience. I have one question and one comment. First comment. Mr. Gonul from IRENA. As you mentioned, steel industry is a hard to abate sector, I think. In terms of steel making process, there are a lot of greenhouse emissions. So it's very hard to hard task to abate greenhouse gas emissions. In addition to using hydrogen in steel making process, I'd like to introduce another option to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Developed countries, I know that they don't need any more new steel product because they have a lot of steel scraps, from old buildings and vehicles. So those can be reused by using electric arc furnace. So it's very important, I think, to use electricity generated by renewable energy. So we can achieve net zero in steel making industry by using renewable energy. So I welcome your comment on mine. Thank you. And I have a question to Dr. Sung-Kyung Lee. You said that the government policy is very important in attracting private sector investment in clean energy transition. Why is that? And what will be the key factor to the successful policy implementation?
Okay, Mr. Gonu, please, could you comment on that?
Sure. First of all, we need to understand decarbonization of end-use sectors, steel sector and the similar consuming sectors is not a question of energy. It's a question of that particular sector. So that's why it has to be done with a good understanding of, or with good input from the energy people, but it has to be done by the steel sector people. So because they know the business best, and they know where the potential efficiencies and where the solutions are. This is first. Second is, I think you made a very good point on the efficient use of scrap steel and increasing the recovery rate. But you know what? Today, around 15 to 20% of steel can be recovered. And we have a huge, even the very high ambition by 2050, the target is 50%. So unfortunately, whatever the reasons are, as I said, I'm not an expert on steel sector, but recovering scrap steel, it's not that easy task. There are different dimensions of it. There is, first of all, the scrap steel trade is important. And where are you going to collect it? Where are you going to use that scrap steel? And who's going to use it? Where are you going to dump it? And make it then again you make a new product with it. So I think there are really complicated questions around that, but definitely, we have to minimize the production of new steel, and that new steel should be done through clean energy. So that's the objective.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Could you?
Investment in energy transition involves inherently high level of risk, whereas the investment time span is much longer than the average project. So to overcome this constraint, so the government should provide a strong signal. And also the government should differentiate the entities who follows the trend and who doesn't follow the trend. And I think also the most important is that the policy should be consistent and predictable over the long terms to attract the private capital. Thank you.
So are there anyone who want to ask questions? Yes, please come up to the mic.
I'm Kyung-won from Korean Energy Agency. And yeah, thank you for your presentation, Mr. Kono, from ARENA. Your presentation is highly impressive, and I can get some inspiration and some insight from your presentation. So in my curiosity, I'd like to ask a question. That you mentioned that is the for your industry alliance, they set up their own goals, various kinds of goals. One of them is GHG emissions reduction. That's highly important. But that we think about that, you suggested just scope 1 and 2, except scope 3 on the GHG emission reductions. But if we consider life cycle assessment, at that time, we have to think about scope 3. So it's also very controversial issue. Some aggressive NGOs think about that kind of action is not reasonable. It's something like might be greenwashing. So what do you think about your opinion? That is, it could be included scope 3 to set up the GHG emission goals, and also that what is the main reason why that the industry alliance, especially something like oil companies, they would like to accept scope 3 to calculate and also measure and verify. So I understand it's not easy to calculate and measure and verify. So I'd like to know your opinion and why they set up the final goal of GHG emissions except scope 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a good question. As you see, there are kind of ambitions for reducing both scope 1 and 2 and also scope 3 ambitions. Obviously, scope 3 ambitions is compared to scope 2, 1 and 2, it's less. But I mean, let me clarify how we have came up with this numbers, this reduction number, because these are not numbers that all members came together and agree, okay, let's together reduce emissions so much. No, these are individual cumulative number for individual ambitions. So it doesn't mean that each and every company committed for everything that you have seen on the table. So for instance, for those companies who are operating in the green, renewable energy space, they are committing for investing in renewables, deployment, increasing deployment. Some other companies are more interested in green hydrogen. I mean, they are making a commitment on green hydrogen, but not the others. So basically, it is a cumulative number bringing together those individual company level commitments. So some companies, for instance, oil and gas companies, may not have done commitments for scope 3.
Thank you, Mr. Gono. Oh, okay.
Hello, I'm Jae-sung Kwak from Kyung University. I have a question to Mr. Lee Cohen. I was looking at your financial scheme in the two different projects. I found in your Nepal project, there's no EPC participation as an investor, lender, whatever, unlike the other one. If the EPC had participated in this project, but under those two natural disasters, the whole financial structure and whole project might have been jeopardized, I guess. So as if you have anticipated earlier, I think whole financial sponsors and investors and lenders are all public. Why is that?
Because that project has started like 10, 12 years ago. So the whole financing structure has been all set. So there was actually no room for a new EPC player to participate in an equity part. And yes, because going through those two natural disasters, our expected return has decreased. But we found a way to boost, to make it like investable, which means that at least the project, even if the IRR goes down, there was a bottom line. And we wanted to secure the bottom line by availing the concessional loan from different lenders with the cheaper exchange rate. So we found a way to make it the project to meet that minimum return rate. So we did that, and so we were able to proceed with the project.
Thank you for the 5 presentation. Where I have some comment on the Mr. Lee's presentation. COEN, the activities in the renewable energy area. Actually, I was ambassador to Bulgaria, and then I had a chance to visit the COEN, the solar farm site. It was about 3 hours distance from the capital of Bulgaria, Sofia. So it was a very huge farm, so I was really impressed how the COEN and actively participating in the developing the renewable energy throughout the world. That's the one comment. And another comment or question to Mr. Shin. You talk about the ammonia firing technology. Yes, I agree with you. This is the bridge technology. Actually, I think every energy source has its own life, its own average life. So from the wood and coal and oil, now we are witnessing the end of oil come to the end in the future, not too distant future. So yeah, likewise the nuclear power also, we could say transitional energy or the bridge technology. So we could say. But my question is, you talk about the green ammonia. So can you little bit elaborate how to you secure the green ammonia for the ammonia co-firing technology? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the valuable question. It is the headache for the several kind of companies. How can they secure the green ammonia at the moment? As you know well, the most of the distribution company like Korean Lotte Jeongmil like that is the stressful to how can they secure the green ammonia. So at the moment we have to secure the blue ammonia first with CCS or CCUS, and then later on we have to develop the renewable energy fully engaged in our power sector, and then right after this time we have to develop the green ammonia production capability and capacity, and then we have to use the green ammonia and green hydrogen. However, at the moment we have to develop technology building the technology first. In order to do this, we have to use the gray and blue ammonia first. And then we have to, when comes up the green ammonia is available, we have to use the true carbon neutrality solution as the ammonia co-firing. That's our perspective. Thank you.
So to briefly introduce myself, my name is Hyun-Soo Nam, and I'm currently a high school student attending International School Manila. So my question applies to both Mr. Gunnell and Dr. Lee. So as Mr. Gunnell's presentation was about decarbonization and Dr. Lee's was about carbon neutrality, I noticed a deep interconnection between the two, since it shares a common goal of reducing the carbon dioxide emissions. So in that case, what are the differences that could distinguish the two, like as in decarbonization and carbon neutrality?
I think decarbonization is a process to achieve carbon neutrality.
Oh. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Roy. I'm from Singapore. I'm from Eureka, which is a climate tech startup in Singapore and Mongolia. I'm very curious. I really want to thank Mr. Shin for sharing on green ammonia. Can you speak to, I guess there are some potential concerns online about the side effects, fine particulate matter from ammonia being used. Have you guys kind of looked at that from a different lens on the risks involved? And also, I guess with the outfitting and kind of modifications, there's certainly an increase in the LCOE for electricity generated. And what's the mechanism in place that you guys are using to address that increase in LCOE? Thank you.
Yes, this is a very difficult question for us. Firstly, the side effect of ammonia by using the ammonia, according to the Korean standard, the NEPA 85, according to this, the three different risks in there. The first is the health, the risk is first. It is the rating the 1 compared to hydrogen is 3. And the explosion risk is the ammonia is 1 and hydrogen is 3. However, the indirect side effect for the ammonia is smells is not good for the people. So in order to use the ammonia as a fuel in power generation sector, we have to persuade our people around the plant. That is very, very difficult for the power generation sector and the power generation company. That is the side effect. So in Korea, including the Korean, the power plant generation company is considered the far from the city or downtown. The isolated the island and at that building the ammonia tank or the infrastructure and then pipeline from their island to the downtown in order to solve that kind of the persuasion of people. That is the curious problem and the headache problem. And next question is the LCOE for the ammonia using power plant is one of the important issue. According to the CHPS in Korean auction program, we have to submit the LCOE for ammonia co-firing or the hydrogen co-firing combined cycle. We have to compete two different solutions. So in order to reduce our LCOE and optimize the LCOE is very, very important. So at the moment, we are developing with our government, how can we develop this kind of auction program is operating action. So in order to develop our technology to reduce the manufacturing cost for ammonia is the first option. The second option is the supporting from the financial support from the several kind of solution, including the ADB. So we have this kind of two solution is indeed the trying to reduce the capital cost and the developing program to financial support. According to these two projects, we have to develop our own ammonia co-firing power plant generation. Okay.
Okay, thank you all for your participation and insightful questions. But this concludes our workshop on collaborative dynamics in clean energy. I do hope you all have a wonderful evening, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you.